So here's Road to 5 build part 7. I was kind of all over the place this week, but let's just get into this. We'll start the week off at Underground Helms. I decided Helms because Ancient Guardian Seals were pretty expensive in the market, and I thought it'd be a good place to try out. I've actually never grinded here before, and it was really good money while I was there, actually. I think out of the 3 hours I spent there, I managed to grab myself 2 Scarlet Necklaces and 1 Seal. Of course, a bunch of Grunel, Forbidden Books, and Junk Drops. All this added up to probably around 50 mil, so pretty decent gains there in about 3 hours. So after Helms, I decided to go for the Duo Syrups that I've been trying to get. It seems that out of all the accessories on the market right now, it's the only ones that stay cheap. So I got myself 2 Syrups and go for a Pry, which I managed to get. And then I go for a Duo, and this would be my 3rd Duo attempt in the series, so I definitely thought this was the one. Which it was. I got that Duo Syrups, so now I can knock out my Zula's necklace, which will be my first of the Zula pieces that I could get rid of, which feels good. I feel that the Zula's pieces is really what holds me back on grinding at better places, but the accessories can be expensive at the same time. I guess if I were to total the price that I spent on getting the Syrups, not including the fail stacks I used, it would be 1 Pry fail and 2 Duo fails, meaning I used 11 Syrups to make this Duo, including the Syrups that I just used. This means over 200 mil for an item that's worth around 180, and that's not even including fail stacks, so we could already see that the price of Syrups was more expensive than it needed to be, but at least we did manage to smack it this time and ended up with something that was actually useful. So after that Duo, I decided to go do some more grinding. I headed over to Crescents, and within my first 15 minutes of grinding, I pulled 2 soiled Crescent rings. I opened the first one and got nothing, and the second one actually gave me a Crescent, which I definitely wasn't expecting. I stayed there for about an hour and a half more and didn't really get anything else. After this, I just headed back to Sandgrain, repaired my stuff, dropped stuff off, and I decided to go grind some Centaurus. And I guess RNG was just being really nice to me this day. I managed to get another soiled in about 45 minutes. Opened it up and I got a Centaurus belt out of it, which I was definitely happy about. In 3 soiled, I managed to pull a Crescent ring and a Centaurus belt. I stayed there for probably about 3 hours before I got bored of them, but between Crescents and Centaurus, I made about 90 to 100 mil. I am selling everything because the prices of accessories right now, they're definitely just way too expensive, especially to enhance, but I guess it just makes grinding much more profitable. After this, I just take a break and decide to go do some cooking. This is where I just turned 20k milk into milk tea, which I managed to make quite a decent amount of silver out of. In my last video, I said it wasn't really worth it, but I was definitely wrong about that. I guess a good way to put it is special crops are more profitable if you are going for hards and sharps and then selling off all your crops. But if you're lazy with your farms and don't want to tend to 100 plants, you could just tend 16 cows and still make a decent amount of silver while doing so. So after about 3 hours of cooking and 20k milk later, we ended up with about 18,000 milk tea and 2,000 smooth milk tea. I could have waited to sell them all off for a better price and maybe made an extra 5 or 10 mil, but I did sell most of it off and I kept around 100 smooth milk tea for myself if I ever need it. But after all that cooking, we made over 200 mil silver, which was a big gain in my bank. We also went from Artisan 10 cooking to Master 2, which I think this is my first master skill if I'm not mistaken, but at least all that milk is dealt with. And next episode, I'm probably going to start turning all my traces into life clothes, and hopefully we could get a bit more silver out of that. And I'm also probably going to do some good feed and maybe some processing also. So after all that cooking and grinding, we're basically just selling everything in our banks that we don't need. So all of our Helms grind, Centaurus grind, and Crescents grind will all be sold off, and hopefully we could pull in a decent amount of silver. So while everything is selling off, I decided to go check out some Sawson since I haven't been there for a long time. I grinded there for 3 hours or so, and I managed to grab myself one of these golden puppies, which was pretty nice, and I made an extra 40 or 45 mil with all their junk drops and Grunel and such. But the only reason why I don't really like them is because you have to bank every 45 minutes. There's so much armor and weapon drops. But then when you go for a party for special deals, you lose out on a lot of silver and XP. But anyways, we'll finish at Sawson's. I'll show you what I got after, and then we can move on to trying to get this Pen General's belt. So the Pen General's belt was definitely worth the grind. It's a PvE accessory which has plus 12 species damage and is about equivalent to Duo Bassi in PvE, I heard. And while you grind for it, you make a decent amount of silver anyways, so why not? So I already had the first 2 enhancements to start off, so it was easy duo. And then for try, it was just running back and forth between an Altanova questline, just like killing some shit, getting their blood, extracting some white cedars, fighting some guys in the arena, which probably takes around an hour or so. It wasn't too bad. And then for Tet was probably the most grindy part of the belt. You basically have to kill 8,000 mobs, so 2,000 of each Fogans, Nagas, Kadris, and Bashams. The quest is basically to fill 4 of the 500 kill Marnie stones for each area, so that's 16 Marnie stones total, which was basically just free XP. But that was it for Tet, and then the final one, which was Pen, and I was just hoping that it wasn't going to be anything that was too time consuming, which it wasn't. Pen was basically the easiest part. You just have to talk to your Black Spirit, get a boss summon scroll, just like any other, go to the place, summon him, and kill him. All in all, I probably spent around 6 hours grinding for this belt, made around 40 mil and some decent XP, and now I have this Pen General's belt. But that's another Azula's accessory out. Now the only thing left would be the earrings and the rings. So guys, that's honestly everything I have to cover this week. Sorry that this was a bit of a shorter video. I spent a lot of time cooking, processing, and fishing while I set up for Twitch, but I am happy I managed to smack that duo Sereps and get the Pen General belt over with. But let's just go over how much we gained this week. Of course, as usual, the yellow is our previous episode's value, the green is what we gained throughout this episode, and the blue is what we currently have. The only difference in our gear this episode is our Sereps, which is a 200 mil gain. I thought it was actually 180 mil, but it is 200 mil. So we went from 1.6 bill to 1.8 bill, and then our bank value went up quite a bit because of all that cooking. In our previous episode, our bank value was 666 mil, and now our bank value has just reached over a billion, meaning we gained 370 mil worth of silver and materials. And finally, our last episode's value was 2.3 billion, and now we're all the way up to 2.87 billion, meaning we've officially passed the halfway mark. I'm not really sure how long the series is going to go on for. It really depends on how enhancing wants to go after I save up all the silver, but it could easily be done within the next 2 or 3 weeks, or it could go on for a month or so without me getting anything. It really depends how RNG wants to treat me. And I'll also probably start doing some knowledge grind sooner or later so I could get that increased drop rate. There are a lot of buffs happening to the drop rate right now, so it's definitely good to take advantage of them. Maybe I'll start to explore Kama. I still haven't been there yet since they released it. I've kind of been waiting till I've gotten geared enough on this wizard, but I'm slowly getting there. So yeah, soon enough we'll hopefully have some better accessories. That's the goal at least. And if you haven't heard yet, I will also be doing my first stream on Twitch January 31st, 4 PM PST and 7 PM EST. This is when the fine accessory box should be released, so it should be a fun time blowing up some gear, so look forward to that soon. I'll also be picking up a new mic, so hopefully in my next video the audio quality should be a bit better. But thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate the support. Keep on grinding. Bye.